Patriots. Welcome back to another episode of Appalachia Stand Prepper with me, your host, Old Core 1057. Just want to take the time. I have to report that I was a victim of a surprise birthday party yesterday. My entire family was there, and they kept it good and clandestine. I didn't have any idea what was going on, and I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to my sons, my daughter-in-law, my little granddaughter. They made me this one-of-a-kind Demand Liberty hat, and we're going to get close up somewhere in our video and see the logo. And we thought that was pretty cool. You know, we don't have a big run of these made or anything, but they took the time and effort to make me this hat to wear around. So this is my Sunday go to meeting hat, and I just wanted to show it off and tell my family thank you very much. And I'm very proud and love all of you. But having said that, let's get back to the topic of our video. We had a little different plans, but the weather didn't cooperate, so we decided to improvise on this one. So, you know, among all your gear you're going to have to carry, we've talked about cleaning rods, we've talked about radios, we've talked about antennas, first aid kits, and all kinds of things like that. But, you know, you're going to have some tools, some cutting implements primarily, maybe even some wrenches, depending on what you're going to do. Now, in the prepper community, you cannot be prepared for everything. It's just an impossibility. Skills are probably more important than equipment, but you also have to have the tools to work with. So we're going to just make a quick video of some of the tools, the cutting tools that I have acquired through the years. I talk about my personal favorites. You know, as long as you have a knife of decent quality, I'm not going to get too hung up on whether it's a $600, you know, made out of a dragon's tooth or nothing like that. You know, I believe there is such a thing as good enough, but you got to determine what is good enough for your needs. So having said that, let's talk about tools you may carry on your 782 gear or in your pack, cutting implements, field knives, maybe just some general purpose tools that have an edge on them, and why you may or may not decide to carry these. You know, there's always compromises to be made in your gear. You can only carry so much. And, you know, there's a famous scene in Platoon, the movie Platoon, when they're opening scenes of the movie, they're humping through the jungle there, and the two cherries are getting overcome with heat exhaustion because their packs are just simply too heavy. And you may remember the sergeant goes through and says, "Man, you don't need this. I'll carry it for you, but you don't need this out here in the field." He takes a couple of books away from them, and basically he's like, you know, you don't need to be humping that. You need more water. He didn't say that, but that was the implication. So we got to resist the temptation to take everything that we can think of for every scenario we may encounter, and that's just one of those dangers that we face as human beings. It's just like, well, it don't take up no space, there's no weight to it, but the problem is that, you know, as they say, the ounces turn to pounds, pounds turn to pain. But you're going to have to carry some stuff. The trick is figure out what you're going to get the most use out of, and do you really need it in the first place? And the other thing is, can it serve more than one function, which may make it more valuable to carry one item than maybe two or three other items. But having gotten that all out of the way, let's talk about knives just a little bit. Now, I'm a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And I don't believe that everything the Marine Corps ever issued was the greatest that has ever been, but I will say that I have a deep affinity for Ka-Bar knife. That's kind of associated with the Marine Corps, although a lot of the other services carried, you know, what we refer to as Ka-Bars or something very similar. But I'll show you the two that I carry primarily. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen me in my Alice 782 gear. You know, you've seen this up on my left suspender strap. it's pretty convenient to get to there. You can still wear an Alice pack with it. You know, it's kind of retro Vietnam style, I guess. But it will save you some space on your belt if you wear it there. The question is, you know, what else you got to carry? You're gonna have to make the decision. I like them on my belt pretty good, but you got to have. There's only so much space on your belt, so if you need, you know, more ammo, radios, whatever it is, you got to try to figure out where to put all this stuff. But you've seen this on the videos. This is actually the first Ka-Bar I ever owned in my life. I didn't know a big lot about them when I bought it. I was about 16. But this is actually a Camillus manufactured knife. And based on the research that I have done, Camillus made more of them than any other manufacturer, including Ka-Bar. But this style of knife has always been called a Ka-Bar. Everything I've read kind of indicates this might have been manufactured during World War II. I don't know that, but it is just a U.S. Camillus, had a parkerized finish. I've had that virtually my whole life since I was about 16 years old. I dug this out just to show you. Here's the original sheath, a dark brown sheath, dark brown handles. I kind of retired this because the snaps were getting weak, and you know, if you carry it on your suspenders, you got to deal with that. And so I just went ahead and bought one of the plastic Ka-Bar sheaths that you can strap it on a molly. You got plenty of ways of strapping it, wear it on your belt. But what I do like about this particular sheath is it'll lock in, so even if you don't have it snapped, you know, it's going to be hard to lose your knife. It's got some retention there. It ain't going to be, I mean, you can lose it, but I do like that retention right there. But that's my first Ka-Bar, and I carry it because we've been together, like I said, virtually my whole life, and that's why I strap up on my 782 gear. It's my primary knife. I retired it for a period of time, and I just couldn't leave it in the drawer, so I got it back out. I figured we started together, we're gonna finish together. The other knife that I carry is on my little work belt, my duty belt, whatever you want to call it. We did a quick little video on this early on, and this is a Ka-Bar. This is the belt I wear around when I'm working here on the farm, doing chores. Got me a new pair of gloves on there, so don't nobody be saying, "Oh man, them gloves is new. They don't do no work." No, this is new because I wore the other pair out. So y'all hush. I ain't making none of this up. But I rescued this Ka-Bar from the flea market. Some dude had it. It was in terrible shape, worse than it really is now. I give it some love, and I just decided, well, it's got a lot of wear and tear on it. I'll just carry it also. So whenever I go out to do my chores, you know, there's all times maybe something you need to cut, or you're on your four-wheeler and you need to cut a briar out of your path or whatever. It's good to have kind of a heavy knife you can do a little chopping with, and I just find that Ka-Bars are a good tool to have, and you know, I don't plan on doing no knife fighting with nobody, but I reckon if they've got us through since 1942, I reckon if it comes to that, I'll go ahead and take my chances with a good old Ka-Bar. The price has got pretty high here lately. Don't really know what to say about that. I guess it's the times that we're living in. I think when I bought that knife, I gave $35 for it new, the original Camillus. Now, I have many other Ka-Bars because I try to buy stuff ahead of time, because you never know when they're going to quit making something you like. I play music, I play guitar, different instruments, and about the time that you find a set of guitar strings that you like, or a pick that you like that feels good, about quick as you decide that you like it, they quit making it. So I've learned when I find something that I like, I try to get enough to do me for an extended period of time. And that's no different with these knives. You know, everybody, you know, the kids are all the time saying, "What do you want for Christmas, Dad? What do you want for your birthday?" Or I'm really bad to buy stuff if I know it's a good price. And I'll give you an example of that here shortly. That's how I ended up with 20 Alice packs, but that's a whole nother story. But this is a Ka-Bar manufacturer that's brand new. I've had it for a number of years. It just sits in the drawer. You can tell it's new, but this has the the enamel finish on the blade. It's not parkerized, so this will chip off. Let me show you this. Uh, this knife is what this knife looked like new. And you can see there's some chips in it down here along the edge. The me and my brother prefer the older ones with the parkerized blades, but they just quit doing it. K-Bar did. But anyway, if you don't take care of this K-Bar, you end up with K-Bar that looks like that. And like I said, I just kind of rescued this from a guy at the flea market. Give him $25 for it, and I'll buy every K-Bar I can find for $25. So anyway, just wanted to show you the comparison there. And of course, they come with a leather sheath with the logo on it and stuff. But this was a gift, and I pretty much just leave it in the closet. But it's as good a K-Bar as any other K-Bar. This K-Bar is actually not a K-Bar, but it's the same pattern knife. This is the current issue. What the military currently issues is made by Ontario, and it's more or less identical to the K-Bar or the Camillus. There's a little bit of differences in the leather handles, and you'll find that even from the same manufacturer. Some will be a little flatter filling on the side, some will be more round filling. This particular blade has got the parkerized finish. It's kind of a dull flat gray. It's not like a sprayed on epoxy. So, but dimensionally they're virtually identical. And I was shopping around. My kids was getting old enough to start having kids, and me and my brother, we've tried to buy stuff up for the younger generation. So should that stuff become hard to get, they've already got some of these things. And since I came home from the Marine Corps, it's kind of been a rite of passage in my family that when a young boy reaches a certain age, we give him a K-Bar. It's become a family tradition. I'm quite proud to have originated that within my family. But we like K-Bar knives. It's a little bit big for some people. May not have interstellar steel that they got off a crashed UFO that can cut through everything, but it's a good general purpose knife. Some guys are knife guys, some guys are pistol guys, some guys are rifle guys. If you're a knife guy and you got to have a certain kind of steel and it's got to be handmade by some blind savant samurai sword maker in Tibet for you to be satisfied, man, more power to you. But these work good enough for me. But anyway, like I said, this is the current issue. It's instead of brown, they're black, and it does have the old style finish on it, the parkerized finish, which personally I prefer. But I found I saw the price of these going up, the K-Bars, a few years ago. I was watching them, and the prices just kept climbing, and I thought, man, that's getting pretty expensive. And I found a source for the government issue ones that for about $50, about half price. And I thought, well, that's good enough for me. So I went ahead and bought several of those and just put them back, because you never know where you're going to end up with a grandson, or you might actually lose one or somebody. Things happen. I want to show you this simply for historical context. I found this in a secondhand store. Of course, obviously the handles have dry rotted on it, but if you look at it, and it's pretty bad shape really, but I found it just kind of laying in a bunch of old knives and spoons and kitchen utensils. But it does say K-Bar on it, and on the hilt it says. Or on the tang, it says like U.S. Navy Mark II, and it's got a welded pommel, so that indicates World War II manufacture. So contacted K-Bars, curious about if they'd help me restore it. They do not do that. They'll send you some washers to put on your handle, but it's up to you to get your knife put back together. And I may look into finding somebody and having this restored. It's not really worth nothing. It's, even the ones that are in good shape don't command insane collector prices, but I just couldn't leave it laying in a junk store knowing what it was. So I rescued it, and I'm glad I got it. I don't use it for nothing. May fix it up someday, but this is original World War II K-Bar for what it's worth. So you say, well, Ocor, you know, you're a Marine, you love that K-Bar, and y'all's brainwashed, and you can't talk sense to you, and that's just too big a knife. I don't need a knife that big, and you know, maybe using the Navy and a big knife like that scares you, and you need a little bitty knife, or maybe using the Air Force, you need even a little small, tiny knife. Well, we got one of these right here, this Air Force knife. It's made by Ontario. That's making all the government knives that I'm aware of. And this is classic design. If you look at pictures of the guys in, you know, the Lerps and SOG and all that stuff back in Vietnam, you'll see a lot of these strapped up on the guys' suspenders. And they are, you know, they are a little bit shorter. And you know, I'm not going to lie, sometimes K-Bar kind of gets you to weigh a little bit. And so I've explored, you know, using shorter knives. I always go back to K-Bar, but anyway, these are a good knife. Pilot survival knife. You got a little bit of a hammer here on the back. There's many videos on these knives, so I'm not going to try to get too far in the weeds with it. It's got a little saw back on it here. One thing I will point out about these knives, now you can say, well, you got two of them there. And yeah, I do. And they're identical, really. You know, a little different color handle, a little different color sheath. That's just the nature of leather. But I'll point this out. I got a good buy on this one. I bought it, and I got to looking at it and thought, man, that's different than the other one. If you can look on the back side, right here, this one's got like a double edge. This one's just thick. But they're both marked in Ontario. They're legit Ontario knives. And what I discovered doing a little research is these thick back ones that don't have the double edge, those were made exclusively for Walmart. So if you at a gun show or flea market or whatever, and you find one of these and it's not the double ground one, you'll know that was made exclusively for Walmart based on the research I've been able to do and find out about them. Does it make it a lesser knife? No, probably not. It's just a difference that I kind of stumbled across, and I thought I'd make mention of it because I was wondering what the heck's going on. Why is that like that? I don't think it's worth going to the trouble to try to grind it down for the money. Just go buy one of the others. But you may encounter these, and that's why I brought both these out. I wanted to just make you aware that, you know, they're both made by Ontario, identical. Same knife in every way, except the government issue one has the double edge. I'm sure if you're heavy in the knives, there's a term for that. I don't know what it is, but the one for Walmart, it just hasn't been ground down. I don't know why. Maybe they skipped that step to make them cheaper so Walmart would buy them. I don't know. But I don't really have I don't really think one's any better than the other. You know, if you need a knife like this, a Walmart knife, if you find one, get a good deal on it, man, buy it. It's a good knife. But I want to make mention of that. Of course, got a little sharpening stone in there, and you know, these are quite popular in Vietnam with SOG, Lerps, all those kind of guys. Pilots used them a lot, and they have their place. You know, they're quite a bit shorter. I don't really know what the dimensions are, but as you can see, it's you know, really a much smaller knife. So if you don't want to carry a big old K-bar, you know, this is a good option. Now, like I said, there's guys that are going to say, man, them knives ain't no good. If you don't have a knife made by Merlin the Wizard in his workshop, you know, during a full moon, you ain't got no knife. And hey, man, I ain't mad at you. If that's your thing, it's great. But as far as I'm concerned, you need a fixed blade knife on your fighting gear, on your survival gear, on your prepper gear. I believe in having a fixed blade full tang knife, which by full tang, the blade passes all the way through the handle, all the way to the end. And that's one thing you need, because anything less is going to be too weak to be relied on. But like I said, these are made by Ontario, and I won't argue the point, but I'm pretty sure they just bought the Camelus tooling and just kept on making the same knife on the same tooling. Uh, so so you have your K-bar size knives. I think they're about 12 inches, something like that. You have the little smaller Ontario government issue, and Camelus used to make these also. I've seen them marked Camelus, lots of them. So you need a fixed blade knife in your kit. Now these are Gerbers, and like I said, I explored the idea of running a little smaller knife. Maybe if you're running a vest, you're not running a belt of any kind, you may want a little smaller knife. Gerber makes a good knife. I've read good reviews on them. Some guys carried them all over Afghanistan and were very pleased with their performance. This is nice little slim. I don't recall the name of it just exactly. It might be it's not a strong arm. It's something else that they named their knives. But this is a Gerber, and I do like the sheath on this because it has some retention right here. So you don't have to have it snapped in. I mean, I won't want to rely on running it that way out in the, just out humping and carrying on. But it's good to have because, sometimes if you're maybe field dressing a deer, working on something, you ain't got time to be fooled with that snap all the time. And I just think it's good to have that. This particular sheath is designed, you can disassemble it, and it's already set up to thread into your MOLLE. See if I can get this out without tearing anything up. There we go. You pull this out, you separate this from your sheath, and now that's spaced. You can weave that right into your MOLLE and use the plastic retainers, stick it up through your MOLLE, and presto changeo, you got your knife on your vest. So I think that's pretty cool. You can run it horizontal with this part. This all goes together, but this is a belt attachment, so you can actually wear this on your belt in this manner just by utilizing the belt loops. If that's something you want to run it, horizontally. So that is an option. So I think that's good. They build these options into the sheaths. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a plus. And I don't have anything bad to say about these knives. They're a little bit less expensive than a full-blown K-bar. They're not cheap, but they're not astronomically high either. And I think they're a good knife for the money that you spend on them. Excuse me. And they got a little glass breaker. This one does. If you're need to break some glass, break a windshield out or something, that's there to utilize if you need it. This is also a Gerber. I decided I needed a Tanto blade, a Tanto point, like cold steel. The Tantos I looked at in Guns and Ammo when I was a kid, and I had to have that because of that point there. Basically, it's very reminiscent of the other Gerber, a little different handle, but it's full tang. It's got the glass breaker here. I'm not super crazy about serrated edges on fixed blade knives, but I guess it's a compromise. I mean, it's there. I guess if you're trying to cut through something that a serrated blade is better, at least you have it. This is also already set up for your MOLLE. You can tell, and you can wear it on a belt. So it's a good overall knife. It's got some retention. Pretty solid, about not falling out. So I think Gerber and these Ontario knives and K-bar, those are pretty much my favorite family of knives, or those type of knives. I know there's all kinds of custom manufacturers. People have, they really get attached to their knife. You need this kind of point, you need this kind of steel, and that's fine. I mean, I'm kind of that way with guitars, but as far as knives go, give me a GI K-bar and I'm good to go. And I recommend anybody get one. You can do some chopping with it. I guess you could baton with it if you had to. It's pretty thick spine. I really won't want to be beating up on my K-bar, but when you're out there and you're trying to live, you do what you got to do. So let's move away from fixed blade knives for a moment. I'm not going to discuss folding knives. I don't really carry a pocket knife around these days. I've really, through my work experience and the needs I had on the job, I found years ago, I discovered the Leatherman tool, and I've been running those as my personal replacement for a pocket knife. Uh, this Leatherman tool here is a Super Tool 300. It's a subdued version. I've got 3 or 4 of these. You know, when I find them, I buy them if the price is right. But you can get a lot of work done with these. You know, you got a couple of folding blades. You got some, you know, Phillips screw, flathead screw. You got a, you know, old school can opener. You got a little saw on it. I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with the Leatherman or multi-tool. You know, got an awl. I use the awl quite often just to punch holes in stuff. And it's got a regular folding blade. It has a little file, and I use the file quite often too, more than I thought I would. So I seen a guy doing a video about this stuff, and it might have been Grand Thumb maybe, but he's like, if you don't have a Leatherman, you're just wrong. So I agree with that. I think a multi-tool, either a Leatherman or possibly a Gerber, I think that is a mandatory piece of gear. Carry it in your pants pocket, carry it on your belt, strap it on your molly, but you need to have one of these on your body because, man, just in my work life, I have been able to save the day from big breakdowns in a big facility with nothing more than a Leatherman tool. And, you know, I just ain't going to be caught without one. So, you know, when I'm around looking at stuff and I find one for the right price, I pick it up because, you know, you might lose the one you're carrying, or you might want to give one to a friend or a relative. But I'm a big believer in the multi-tool. Here's a Gerber. You see a lot of the Gerbers floating around. I think maybe the Army issued these for a while in the GWOT, and there's nothing wrong with the Gerber. Some of the features are actually better, more ergodynamic, a little bit softer on your hand, and but I think there's some weaknesses in them too. But you know, give me a Gerber, I'm happy. Give me a Leatherman, I'm happy. But they're pretty much just a different take on the same goal. You got multiple tools folded up in here, just like you do the Leatherman. They're good quality, and like I say, I watch for them. If I can find them and the price is right, I buy them. I don't need any more, but I think there's something that has enough value that, you know, you go to a yard sale, some old girl done run her old man off and selling all of his good stuff because she don't know what he's got. She just wants a little money, get another pack of Pall Malls and some wine coolers so she can sit there and listen Conway Twitty saying "Hello, darling" over and over again and feel sorry for herself. And she's selling man's Gerber or his K-Bar or whatever for $5 or $10 or $11. Buy it, man, because that dude ain't never gonna get it back no how, and she don't know what she's got. So just keep your eyes open for stuff like that. If you down around in the trailer park and you hear the "Hello, darling" getting sung over and over again, look and see if there ain't a yard sale going on, because chances are you're gonna get to buy a good fishing pole or some ammo or maybe a Leatherman or a K-Bar. Man, it's untelling what kind of treasure you gonna get, because that old girl run her old man off for the last time and selling all his good stuff, and she don't know what it's worth. So she just goes ahead and bargain basement, because she needs them Pall Malls and she needs them wine coolers to get her through the night. So don't be afraid to go down to the trailer park. You find treasures down there. But anyway, if you ain't got a Leatherman or a Gerber, you need to get one. End of story. You decide which one you want. There's multiple models. You get them bigger and smaller, but you need one of these on your 782 gear or in your pack somewhere. Now let's move on to some stuff that is probably maybe not mandatory for everybody to have, but I think it's probably a good idea to consider having it. And one such item is some pruning shears, little small ones like this. got a little ratcheting action. If you're cleaning fields of fire, or you're just getting something out of your way so you can see, where the deer are going to be coming through, because from season to season, sometimes you get some foliage that grows up in front of your deer stand. You just need to reach out there, clip that off real quiet without firing up a chainsaw or hacking away at it with a K-bar or whatever. Or if you're cutting some camouflage for your ghillie suit, or you're camouflaging the observation post, whatever the case may be, sometimes it's good to be able to just reach up here and just quietly snip that stuff and not be shaking it and hacking at it and chopping at it. Good clean cut, and it's, they're pretty light. Definitely, if you see yourself as any kind of a sniper kind of guy, you need this. Just keep your camouflage in order and to quietly remove stuff out of your field of view so you can make the shot you're there to make. So pruning shears, little small handheld ones like these, is something I think you should consider. The other thing that goes hand in hand with that is a small folding saw. There's all kinds of them out there. Some are better than others, but you can fold that out there, saw some limbs off of that in your way, maybe something a little bigger than these will cut. You might want to saw it down, maybe do it a little quieter. If you're out there with your K-bar chopping at it, that's going to cause a lot of noise, a lot of movement maybe. But these are good to have. Once again, if you're bow hunting, if you're just out there in stealth, it's kind of a requirement. You probably won't be able to remove foliage without, being up there hacking at it and chopping at it and breaking it and stomping it and carrying on. And just a good thing to consider having is a folding saw in your gear and a set of just pruning shears, little small ones. And sometimes, man, something like that just makes all the world of difference. I kind of got a pack set up that, I consider my deer hunting pack, or my bolt gun long range rifle, precision rifle pack. And I have some tools in it, such as these, that I don't normally carry and say my patrol, my regular 782 gear or something like that. I kind of have one pack dedicated. If I'm running a bolt gun, then I'm kind of in the, call it the sniper mode or the hunter mode. So I've got some tools in it that will help me accomplish that kind of a job, more so than just, out here doing a property patrol with an AR and some mags and some water. You get down out there a little bit deeper now. The zombie apocalypse comes, and for whatever reason we face social unrest. The country falls in on itself for whatever reason. Whatever the scenario is irrelevant. But if we find ourselves where the government is no longer in charge, or there's some kind of crisis, or an opposing force has moved in on us in some manner, as a Minuteman, an American patriot, you're not going to have Blackhawks and Hueys and Chinooks flying over, dropping off your shopping list. So you're going to have to think. You're going to have to kind of go old school. If you're perceiving that as a potential reality, you're going to have to say, how am I going to accomplish this stuff? Because when I was in the Army or when I was in the Marines, this is how we did it. And it was all great. If you got a Humvee loaded down with goodies, or a chopper bringing you that stuff, or some kind of convoy coming down the highway and it's going to come to your bivouac and give you what you've used up. But that's not going to be a reality if you're a Minuteman or just a patriotic American, and you're out there for whatever reason operating in the field in that kind of manner. So some of the stuff the guys say, well, I didn't pack that in Iraq, I didn't pack that in Afghanistan. I think that's a waste of space. I think it's a waste of weight. And they may be probably 100% correct, because, the thing is, do they have the mindset when they say that of being out there with no support indefinitely, maybe forever? Or are they just simply basing it on how they did it while they were there, and they could count on getting on the radio and saying, hey, we need some of this, send it up? There's compromises to be made. You're going to have to look at your own situation, what you feel are realistic scenarios, what you feel you're actually prepping for, and you have to make some decisions about what you put in your pack, what you put on your kit. And like I said, we're geared toward a beginner on this channel, just trying to say, hey man, think about some of this stuff before you go start spending your money. You know, we're just saying this is good if you need it. If you don't need it, okay, but make sure you don't need it. Don't buy it if you don't need it. If you need it, buy it, and try to get something that's good enough the first go around. But not having a big logistics tail keeping you in all the goodies and tools that you need out in the field, if you're going to be operating as a guerrilla, a Minuteman, something of that nature, you might want to consider some other stuff. Now, one thing, I don't really say everybody's got to have one of these, but I found this little hatchet at the flea market. It's a Gerber. I got a real good buy on it, and I thought, well, what the heck, why not? Don't have a very long handle. Probably gonna have limited chopping capability, but it does have chopping capability, but it also has the ability to be used as a hammer. And for whatever reason, back here in the handle, they put some kind of little knife. I don't know. Maybe clean a bluegill with it or something if you get in that kind of situation. But I got a good buy on this, and I thought, well, I'm gonna put that in my pack because it's a little bit heavy, but it ain't so heavy that it ain't worth carrying around. You could drive some nails, drive a tent stake. Millions of reasons you need a hammer to bump something or to hammer something. You maybe split some firewood so you ain't out there caning your K-bar and getting it all boogered up. But you might want to just consider a small hatchet. Now, some guys like the big long-handled ones. I've seen guys do videos over these and say, hey, you got to have a big hatchet strapped to the outside of your pack. Maybe they're right. Maybe where they're operating, they got to have that. I'm just saying, take a look at your situation, take a look at your operating environment, and, determine, do I need one of these in my kit to make my life, a little more livable, and is it worth the trade-off for the weight versus its utility? Lastly, I'm going to move on to stuff that's not really about chopping wood or anything, but set of bolt cutters. Now, these are little, so you're only going to be able to do so much with them, but I can foresee many scenarios where having these in your pack, based on what you're setting out to accomplish, this might be something you want to consider. Somebody in your group might need to be packing one of these if you're going to have to, get through some fence or some locks or whatnot. Not condoning breaking and entering by any means. I'm just saying, if you're in the zombie apocalypse, you may want to consider getting you some bolt cutters of some kind. Just something to think about. Now, this other set of tools I'm going to mention, I don't know how to really use them. I mean, I can a little bit, but when it comes to, because we're talking about bolt cutters, I thought, well, I'll talk about these too. You might want to get you a set of lock picks, because, practice with those. I have successfully picked a few locks in my day that kind of helped me save me a little money. I lost the keys to like a house key one time when I was moving houses, and I was like, oh no. And I kind of fabricated my own little flimsy set of lock picks, because I kind of understood how the lock mechanism worked, and I was able to get in and basically get the keys that I like myself away from. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. I'm not condoning going out and, like I say, breaking and entering by any means, but I've got key rings that got keys on them that I don't even know where they came from. And you may encounter out in the future coming across a lock even at your own home, that the key's simply just not there no more. And if you have just a little bit of skill, any master lock of, we typically lock up on a shed door or a chain, put it through a chain or whatever. Most time, if you're patient, you can get them open. But anyway, we just want to take this time to just talk about knives and cutting implements. I personally recommend that you carry a fixed blade knife on your fighting load somewhere, on your belt, on your 782 gear, on your plate carrier, on your vest, your chest rig, whatever it is you're wearing. I believe in having a fixed blade knife. Now, there's some guys that'll tell you that's a waste of weight, a waste of time, and a waste of money. And, you make your own decisions. So if you feel that way, then that's fine. Me, myself, I still believe in having a fixed blade knife, a full tang, fixed blade knife, nothing too frilly and look like Aladdin would carry it with a whole bunch of swoops and squiggly blades. It's a tool, man. It's a tool. I mean, you ain't supposed to pry with your knife, but you know what? Sometimes you got to. We've all been there, so don't act like you ain't never done it. But pick your knife and get familiar with it. Learn how to sharpen it. Take care of it. Don't abuse it. But just remember, it's a tool. And if you go down a flea market and get something that says Pakistan on it, and it's got a big old emerald right in the end of the handle, and a compass on the end, and it's got a fishing kit down in the handle, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. You don't get it. That stuff is gimmicks. You need pretty much a leather handle or rubber handled utility knife. You don't need one that'll tell your fortune and turn into a grappling hook. I mean, that's kid stuff, man. It's kid stuff. Get you a leather handled fixed blade knife that has a proven record. Strap it up on your gear and use it for what you need to use it for. If K-bar's too big, get you a pilot survival knife. If you don't like the way that looks, don't fit your hand, whatever, get you a Gerber. It's about the same size. They're good knives. There's other good quality knives out there too. I just don't happen to have any of them. But we wanted to take the time to say, hey man, you got to have cleaning kit, keep your rifle clean. You got to have a way to keep your radios charged. That's why you got to have solar panel or something like that. If you go back and look at our videos, we're just saying, hey, don't overlook this aspect of it. I mean, you can have all kinds of the main implements, but if you don't have the support element, I don't care what kind of AR-15 you got. If you only got one mag, I'm laughing at you because you're stupid. Okay, one mag ain't gonna cut it. And if you show up with a $600 AR and a Pakistani survival knife that says Rambo on the blade, dude, pull your head out. Let's get real about this, because hopefully you're taking this stuff seriously, or we're all wasting our time. We're trying to help each other. But at any rate, get you a multi-tool. I think that is absolutely a necessity. Get you some form of a fixed blade full tang knife that has a good history, good track record. Strap it up on your gear. Give some consideration to your sustainment needs. Are you going to be camping a lot? Are you going to be out there? Maybe you can build fires. I don't know. I mean, probably not a good idea to build a fire in a tactical situation. But if you just end up living in the woods for a while, like over in North Carolina when the hurricane came and destroyed the western end of North Carolina, I'd say a guy might have been glad if he had a hatchet in his pack so he could build him up a campfire and keep his youngins warm. So it ain't always about shooting and doing the cool guy door kicking stuff. Sometimes it's just about escaping floodwaters and getting high up on a mountain and needing to build a fire, and maybe needing to pitch a tent and drive them tent stakes. Maybe you're out on patrol and you got your backpack on your four-wheeler, and you come up on a piece of fence and you need to drive a nail because the sun is work the nail out. Well, if you got one of these, it may be something that comes in handy. You can drive a nail back in. So you got to determine what your needs are going to be, what are realistic scenarios, and plan accordingly. But we just want to give you kind of an overview. My personal take on it: big believer in fixed blade knives, full tang fixed blade knives. Big believer in the multi-tool. This other stuff, hey man, maybe if you're specific to a mission or a job you're doing, you might throw it in your pack, but it's something to consider. But with that, we're gonna let this topic rest. If you ain't got a good knife, go get you one. Learn how to sharpen it. Take care of it. Don't abuse it. Go get you a good multi-tool. Take care of it. Don't abuse it. Use them for what they're intended for. And if you break it, go get you another one. Better yet, if you can afford it, buy two the first time, because one is done and two is one, right? So having said that, this old Core 1057 signing off. Remember, Patriots, the maximum effective range of this use is 0 meters. Don't be coming out there trying to live with me in the woods and saying, gee, old Core, man, I was going to buy them K-bars you was talking about there on that video, won't you, Honor? But, well, that lottery got big. It got way up there, and I took all my money and bought that lottery ticket because I just really felt that I was going to win that time, and it didn't pan out. So I ain't got a knife. Can I borrow yours? Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, man. You got to have priorities. Needs before wants. That's what an adult understands, is you have to get your needs before your wants. And if you ain't got a knife, you need to get you a knife. And then after you got you a knife, if you want to play the lottery, then play the lottery. I don't care. But don't blow your money on stuff that you can't even get any utility out of, and then come to me and say, hey, buddy, let me borrow your socket set. Let me borrow your K-bar. Have you got an extra magazine I can use? Because there's a bunch of commies over on the other holler, and I can't load my rifle fast enough because I didn't buy no extra magazine. Don't be that guy. So maximum effective range of this use, 0 meters. Simplify, keep faith, and always, always demand liberty.